Good morning, dear class 10 students. Dear students, let us continue the same third chapter. And the last video we had discussed up to the defense of civil rights. Now, through this video, I will be explaining to you about the methods of the early nationalists. So, the methods popularly known as the constitutional agitation method was followed by early nationalists. So, this was the first method they implemented, that is called constitutional agitation method, and they wanted to put forth their demands to the British government by constitutional system. They believed in the policy of constitutional agitation within the legal framework and slow orderly political progress. So by demanding the British government by using the method of constitutional process, the early nationalists had believed that the country will have the politically progress, or it will progress politically. Now, first setup of method, the first objective was to educate people in India in modern politics. So that was the first objective of the first set of method, and also to arouse national political consciousness, and also they wanted to tell the people about the national political awareness, and also to create a united public opinion, and also let the people should be freely share their own opinion and their own thinkings. For this purpose, they relied on the following methods. Now, number one, they held meeting where speeches were made and resolutions for the popular demands were passed. So they held meetings, they organized meetings, and also they made a lot of, we would call this, speeches, and they were determined to their own popular demand, which were passed to the British. Now, number two, they made use of press to criticize government policies, and also they got the support from the press to criticize the government system and their administrative policies. Third point we have here, they sent memorandum. This is the, we call the legal documents and the petitions to government officials and the British Parliament. So all the prayers, petitions, letters were sent to the British Parliament and the British government officials. These petitions were carefully drafted with the fact and argument, and through these drafted petitions, the early nationalists wanted to tell the British Parliament members about the reality of the country's critical situation and the people. Though these petitions were addressed to the government, their real aim was to educate the Indian people. Though these all petitions were mentioned or sent to the government, but the main purpose of the sending these petitions to the government was so that they wanted to show that the Indian people also are educated people. Now, second set of method. The second objective of the early nationalists was to influence the British government and the British public. So, those early nationalist leaders who are there in Britain, they wanted to influence the British Parliament member as well as the British people through their own meetings, through their own speeches, and they wanted to get support from the British people or public in England. To achieve this objective, they followed the following method. They made use of 3 P's: petitions, prayers, and protests. So, under the second set of method, we could see that they used 3 P's: petitions, prayers, and protests. They sent petitions, requests, and letters of protest to British government to look into the problems of the Indians. So, the main purpose of sending these all 3 P's to the British government, telling the government that how much in problem the Indian people are and how much they are facing these problems and they are struggling in their life. To tell that only, they prepared these petitions, prayers, and protests to the British. Now, number 2, a British committee of the Indian National Congress was set up in London in 1889, which published a weekly journal, India, to present Indians' case before the British. So, the weekly journal was started, and that is India in Britain, telling that the British also should know that what is the problem of the Indian people in India. Now, number 3, deputations of Indian leaders. So, Indian leaders were appointed and were sent to Britain. These political leaders carried on active propagandas in Britain. So, they organized so many meetings, so many, we would call the julus and so on, to tell the British government about the political condition of the country of India. For example, Dadabhai Naoroji spent a major part of his life in Britain to create awareness among British people and politicians about the plight of Indians. So, Dadabhai Naoroji, he spent his half of the life in England, and there he worked very much for the political awareness, and he also wanted to tell the British leaders about the problems of the Indians in England. Dear students, we will continue the other point in the other video.